In Web3, code controls money, and that code is known as a smart contract. Now, this smart contract is very hard to change, if not impossible, once it's deployed. And that's exactly why hackers target these smart contracts, because if one mistake exists, they could steal millions, if not billions, from that smart contract. Now, a smart contract audit is a review of that code from a hacker's perspective, and that's what I've been doing for the past 10 months. However, it's not so simple in reality, because I thought that if I just audit a smart contract, check for bugs, report them, submit them, everything's good. But the reality is, most hacks don't even happen through the smart contract, they happen through the entire tech stack, from the Web3 layer to the Web2 layer. The Bybit hack, KelpDAO hack, and recent Polymarket hack were all off-chain or Web 2 level hacks that had nothing to do with the smart contracts. Most of those hacks occurred through a front-end UI hack, so the application that a user was using looked perfectly safe, but had malicious code underneath it that the hackers used to steal funds. So if you're building a Web3 protocol or integrating it into your business in any way, this video is for you, because I really care about the space and want to see it grow. But if these hacks keep happening, we'll never reach past, being a niche industry and reach mainstream adoption. The biggest mistake I see with Web3 teams is treating security as a one-time activity. They'll write the smart contracts, test them a couple times, do an audit through an external firm like Certic or Cypherin or one of these audit firms, and then it's like a check mark, we go live, we're good to go. Now, the problem with that mindset is, again, it's a one-time checklist. It's like a obstacle in the way towards what they want to achieve, which I understand. As a developer, you want to get to the goal, you want to ship features fast because you have a job to do and you need to make profits. I get it entirely. The problem with that is security then becomes a backseat instead of a ongoing process that needs to occur to prevent such hacks from happening. In a recent talk with some of the top Web3 security experts, they were asked, how can we improve security in this industry? Here's a clip.
How do we maintain an edge and maintain a modern take on an adversarial mindset and understanding of emergent threats that are out there in the face of evolving, increasingly more sophisticated risks? And what steps do protocols need to take to mitigate this as well?
And I think this is what Web3 firms that do security audits need to transform into, is a comprehensive security suite that's offered. They need to do Web 2, Web 3, and physical testing as well, like check the doors and locks of the dev, make sure everything's good, he's got the private key.
As you can see, they mentioned having a long-term relationship beats having a one-time audit that assumes that the infrastructure is safe. Because a smart contract audit only focuses on one small piece of the pie, whilst ignoring the entire tech stack and what could go wrong through operational security measures. In my experience, I've been doing competitive auditing, so the security process is very scoped. You define what's in scope, so these contracts are in scope, such as the core contracts, any libraries, dependencies are typically out of scope, any off-chain stuff, they exclude from the audit, which is expected, right? However, the problem with that is this could assume that the entire protocol is safe because what's being reviewed has been approved, but maybe there's some unexpected contracts or there was some other peripheral contracts which were deployed and assumed to be safe, but actually weren't. Now, a great example of this was the recent Ecubo hack for about 1 million. What happened was there was a pending approval left over on a peripheral router that was unaudited because they deemed it to be a non-core contract that they thought was fine. However, hackers saw this, even though it was closed source and not revealed publicly, anything on chain is technically open source, right? The lesson here is the security audit should not just focus on the core contracts, but any contracts where the value or money flows through the entire system, not just what's considered core. Now, the next area is known as operational security, and is actually the most common way that these hacks happen. As I said, it's not even just the on-chain, it's really the off-chain and the human level operational security measures that are in place. We saw this with Bybit for 1.4 billion as a front end was manipulated to look like a legitimate front end. So when they did the multi-sig signing, it basically executed through a malicious front end which sent to the hacker's address. Meanwhile, the smart contracts behaved exactly as expected. This is why operational security needs to be treated as part of the core security lifecycle and not just as an admin level task. This is why long-term security consultants beat one-off auditors. Because imagine if you had high quality security advice every single day instead of once every so often. Would you make more or less mistakes? Right? The consultant could catch problems way earlier than you would. If you're working in a Web3 business right now of some kind, then you're working in the business, so you're not so focused on how the business works from an operational perspective. That's why a consultant can come in and review the processes to see where the red flags are. Here's another great talk on this concept by Bereshane.
But in terms of the audit process itself, it is, like Bit said, is a static process. We take a snapshot of what that code base is, but of course that code is going to evolve, right? So it does need continuous update, just like any system needs to have regular penetration testing. So I think the approach of thinking beyond the code, the way that I try to advise my clients is, if you've got a complex smart contract, right, don't just look at the code of that smart contract, look at it as a whole system. Not only do I have to secure the code, am I sure on my dependencies? What are my third-party libraries? Where else can I be compromised at? And that threat modeling to accompany the audit itself, I think it's very important. An existing, let's say, auditor that you have a lot of trust with, like Verchain or, one of the panelists here, then what you want to do is you want to engage with them very early on in your architectural and design process so that, you don't build up technical debt, develop down the wrong road just to have your, code base all fixed again.
In that video, he says when the system is first audited, it's a different version as to what it is in the future, right? Because like all systems, they change over time. Therefore, without a long-term security partner or consultant, you won't know if you're doing something wrong. And that's how you end up getting hacked. Again, not from a one-time mistake, typically, it's through compounded bad habits over a long time period. Instead of reviewing every change without any context, so from zero, a long-term partner will know exactly the context to your code base, but also the entire tech stack to know, okay, maybe if a change to this API allows some authorization bypass in smart contract in some way. But if an auditor comes in without that context, you'll think you're fine. A good consultant can help teams introduce these changes with minimal risk of introducing new bugs. And so this is where Web3 has to mature, because it's clear that with all these hacks happening, we'll just keep seeing off-chain level exploits, OPSEC exploits, the occasional smart contract level exploit. But again, I really do believe that the biggest shift that needs to happen in this space comes from a long-term, consistent relationship with trusted security partners that you trust to help secure and prevent bad practices from compounding over time. If you're a Web3 protocol and you're still questioning your security practices, like, hey, have we secured the entire system, not just the smart contracts? And that's what I'm here to do. I want to help see this space win. I want to help protocols achieve their goals because I absolutely love Web3 and everything it stands for. So send me a message. I'm more than happy to give you advice and see where we can go from there. My email is web3made@pm.me, or just send me a direct message here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, keep building, and have a great day.